Let's begin with this, a Fox News alert. Evacuate or die. That's the warning from authorities to people in Puerto Rico as Hurricane Maria closes in. The powerful Category 4 storm packed with 155-mile-per-hour winds expected to make landfall on the island in just a few hours. It's already claimed at least one life after roaring through the island.
This is how the hurricane looks from space. These pictures were taken from the International Space Station. Our weather presenter Isabel Lang is with me. And Isabel, looking at these pictures, you can see the scale of Irma, can't you?
Yeah, it's massive. You can see the eye there. You can see the eye wall, the core of the really strong winds around that centre. And the winds are gusting around 185 miles an hour. The mean sustained winds, 185 mile an hour winds. That means there's obviously a very strong Category 5. The problem with something like this is that it's coming very close to these islands. It's crossed Barbuda and it's heading towards Anguilla, St. Martin, then Puerto Rico. And it will be a direct hit on some of the islands. It's already crossed Barbuda. So this means, well, not just heavy rain, also strong winds and storm surge. So the culmination of all those effects, catastrophic, you know, and these aren't, there are some solid structures, but there's a lot of very weak structures, you know, and that just means devastation for large parts of these islands. I mean, it's a massive, massive problem because it is getting a move on. I mean, it's moving westwards at about 15 miles an hour, so it will cross these islands and continue its track westwards, not like Harvey, which got stuck, but it will cause such problem when it comes in because it is so big. It's really been fueled by warm water. And
it's unusually warm, isn't it, the water at the moment?
Yeah, I mean, yesterday I was tracking it and I was quite surprised to see it reach Category 5 quite so quickly. It's unusual, as we've seen.
The Category 5 storm barreling through the Caribbean, and we're now learning that 3 people have died in Puerto Rico. Joining us now on the phone from Puerto Rico is Captain Eric King. He's commanding officer of Coast Guard Sector San Juan. Thank you very much for joining us.
Hi, good morning.
So you just heard us say we now have reports that 3 people in Puerto Rico have died. There are, 3.4 million people there. We had reports 1 million people are without power. What are conditions like right now?
So conditions on the island of Puerto Rico, where we are at inland by about 10 miles, we positioned our forces away from our downtown location in Old San Juan. Both locations have lost power, and we're on generator power for the Coast Guard forces at this time.
Yeah, I also saw that 14 hospitals are using generators after losing power. What is the Coast Guard doing to help?
So the Coast Guard's role is obviously, focused on the maritime perspective. I mean, we're linked in, aligned with the Emergency Operations Center and the Puerto Rico Emergency Management Authority, but primarily focused on the maritime commerce, and facilitating any search and rescue that would need to happen on the island of Puerto Rico as well as the Virgin Islands.
Have you seen any of the damage from the U.S. Virgin Islands? I know people online, also for Puerto Rico, saying that they're not getting a lot of coverage from those areas.
Maybe. try. Don't break the sunroof. Don't break the sunroof. That would suck.
Gee, I hope Vicky and Steve packed up this morning.
But I know that communication is limited with some of those islands right now.
Yeah, certainly the communication infrastructure has been impacted. Fortunately, I mean, we're able to have some cell coverage and able to communicate amongst ourselves. I think our largest concern remains St. Thomas and St. John and the northern coasts of Puerto Rico. Mm-hmm. The geography down here with islands, obviously people are aware of that, but there's ferry systems that are used to really move a lot of the population around. And so one of our major focus areas is certainly ensuring that we can get those ferries back operational to move first responder personnel in between all the islands to support the population.
Yeah, unfortunately, I mean, I have some friends down there in St. Thomas, and I was trying to reach them today, and there's no phone service. I spoke with them before Irma hit, and a lot of people definitely stayed behind on those islands, so I hope that they're okay. What equipment do you have to help out?
So the Coast Guard at this point, we've got 4 helicopters in the air, 1 860 and 3 865 helicopters flying, so supporting search and rescue as well as doing overall damage assessments. Additionally, we had 7 cutters sortie from San Juan and go down to Curacao. They're going to be coming back along with a medium endurance cutter to support the relief effort. And within San Juan, our small boats are getting back in the water now, so we have 3 small boats, 45 response boat, as well as 3 other craft in the water looking at aids navigation and doing assessment to get maritime cameras back as soon as possible.
Yeah, and even though the hurricane has passed directly
extremely powerful storm, so many islands getting hammered, many Americans who could not get out in time trying to ride out this hurricane. This satellite image tonight shows the eye of this Category 5 storm fully formed there. At this hour, Irma still tracking right toward Florida, but there are several other states now in the possible path. And I want to show you this tonight. This image coming in, that's the eye again, but in the middle there, that is the island of Barbuda. Authorities there late this afternoon reporting at least 90% of the buildings on that island could be gone now. ABC's Lindsay Janis is in the middle of it all. She leads us off tonight.
Tonight, Hurricane Irma tearing through the Caribbean, claiming at least 3 lives with ferocious 185-mile-an-hour winds. Irma pummeling the U.S. Virgin Islands, home to more than 90,000 U.S. citizens.
It is really ripping right now.
In St. Martin, the government says 95% of the island is destroyed, buildings shredded, even the airport damaged. A dangerous wave sweeping this person right off their feet.
We tried to stop the water, but it's flooding.
Lauren Mayo is one of 5 women on a fitness retreat trapped in her hotel.
We're on the 6th floor, so the flooding is kind of amazing because the wind and rain are just bringing it through the sliding doors.
Newlyweds Sarah and Scott Riggins locking themselves in the bathroom.
We've got the wind going about 100 miles per hour. You can really hear it outside, shaking the doors.
This image showing Barbuda right in the center of Irma's eye. The Prime Minister saying some 90% of the island's buildings are destroyed. Hurricane hunters inside Irma finding it's the first Atlantic Ocean storm ever to maintain winds of at least 180 miles an hour for this long.
It's 10 a.m. here in Puerto Rico, and Hurricane Irma appears to have arrived. We've got some very powerful winds, rain, and surf.
San Juan, a ghost town. The governor warning people not to go outside under any circumstances, saying the island has never seen a hurricane like this before. More than 1,000 in shelters.
We don't know what's going to happen. It's scary, and I pray for everyone that's out there don't want to leave their homes.
And Lindsay Janis joins us from San Juan, Puerto Rico tonight. Lindsay, we can see the effects right there behind you, and more than 500,000 without power there already.
Yes, David, the head of the power company says it could be between 4 and 6 months before power is restored to some of those areas. We are being told to expect sustained hurricane-force winds for at least a couple of hours tonight. There's also major concern about storm surge and flash flooding. It's going to be a long night. David?
All right, long night indeed. Lindsay Janis and our team there in San Juan, stay safe tonight. And as we told you last night here on the broadcast, we were looking at 2 possible scenarios for Florida. Tonight, a much clearer picture here. The new models are now in, and also North and South Carolina declaring states of emergency. So let's get right to Chief Meteorologist Ginger Z tonight. She's been tracking Irma with us all afternoon in the newsroom. And where is Irma right now?
Irma is northeast of San Juan, Puerto Rico by about 50 miles. That center of the eye, which the eye is about 20 miles across, is moving west-northwest at 16. So San Juan, my primary concern for that part, and Puerto Rico, the northeast corner, flash flooding. But now as this moves on, with 185-mile-per-hour winds still, the pressure, David, is actually dropping. So we could still see strengthening yet tonight. That's what's so frightening. Looking at these hurricane warnings, the Turks and Caicos, the southern Bahamas now in them, even Freeport and Nassau into the hurricane watch. Turks and Caicos through the southern Bahamas could see up to 20-foot storm surge. These are islands that only have elevation of a couple of feet. The timing, Thursday into Friday. Friday into Saturday, it's just north of Cuba. Saturday into Sunday, it moves toward Florida. And Sunday afternoon, we have a Category 4 in this scenario sitting over Miami. Storm surge there, heavy rains, incredible power with winds, up to 3. So it stays very strong in this. I want everyone to pay attention to the cone, though, because still looking at Georgia and South Carolina. Additionally, in that cone, in this in this scenario, at least 75-mile-per-hour winds, so hurricane-force winds, Lindsay was just talking about it, extend 50 miles on each side. So you're not safe, even if you're away from this. The computer models, as you said, coming together on that east side of Florida.
Coming together. So 2 scenarios. We said west side or east side, and tonight we believe it's east side. Here's the spaghetti here.
We believe that it's east side, and that would also mean that for Savannah or Charleston, you could have impact early next week, and certainly inland flooding is still a major concern of mine, up through even Asheville.
All right, Ginger Z with us again tonight. You'll be with us straight through the whole hurricane. Thank you.